I'm Mary, and this is the teeny tiny 20-something-year-old. Um, Today we're going to be going through a kind of controversial topic. This channel is for anything and everything, so we're going to take this one on. And this is going to be a talk about my gun journey. Now, this isn't me trying to share political views. This isn't me trying to persuade you one way or the other. This is just what I've gone through personally and why I do what I do and why I believe what I believe. Um, my journey started with guns when I was 16. My father was very smart and waited till both me and my brother were mature enough to handle weapons. We had never seen his guns. We knew that he had them, but they were always kept in his closet with trigger locks on them. So we had never even touched one until I was 16. And I give him props for making sure that everybody was mature enough before he ever introduced them. I think a lot of people don't wait until their children are mature enough to handle weapons or mature enough to know how to be safe with weapons. And so I will give my dad major props for that. I started out shooting a Browning 22. It wasn't anything fancy. My dad had got it when he was in the Marines. And so I didn't start out with anything crazy. I think a lot of people are just like, go big or go home. No, like start out small when you're introducing someone into weapons and introduce them correctly and with proper technique and the proper safety steps. So I learned how to shoot with a Browning 22, and my dad had always had a shotgun, but I didn't feel comfortable enough and he didn't push me into learning how to shoot it. So I stuck with my little 22. I had tried a 9mm and it wasn't for me. It freaked me out with how much recoil there was. And so he was like, "That's fine. Like we'll stick you with a 22. It'll be okay. If you ever have to use it, we know that it'll at least stop someone or make them think twice." So I just stuck with my little 22 and I loved it. When I was 17, we actually had a dog climb our fence and attack my dog Baby. And I was home alone. It was the middle of the day. Everyone was at work. And so I had to do the one thing that I knew what to do. I wasn't going to get a knife because that would have taken me way too close to this dog and I was scared of it turning on me. And so I did what I had been taught. I grabbed that Browning 22 that my dad kept underneath my mom's desk and I went outside and I defended my dog and she got away and she's alive and she's safe. Um, so I know a lot of people are like, well, you could have called the police. I would tell you, I called the cops after I shot it and they showed up 10 minutes after my mother, and my mother was on the highway about 45 minutes away. And granted, she did go like 120 when I called her and told her that I had shot a dog in our backyard, but the fact that my mom got there quicker than the cops that drive around my city is scary. And so it's like I can't rely on them to get there in time to save my animal, and I don't even know if they would have done anything to save her in the first place. So I had to take matters into my own hands, and I did it safely, and I still have my doggie. Um, so I think that when people are like, well, there's always alternatives, there's not always alternatives. And there's not always a safer measure that you can take. Like sometimes you just have to take the most lethal measure that you can because there's no other way out. So after that, I will say I was shaken up. I didn't sleep soundly for about a month. And it wasn't because that shooting the gun had scared me. It was because every time I heard a dog bark, it was kind of like a flashback. But I got over it and I was grateful that I had taken that shooting class with my dad. I was thankful that I knew how to use the weapon. It made me grateful that I could defend me and mine. So as a graduation gift when I turned 18 and graduated from high school, my dad got me a little Sig Mosquito 22, and I loved it because it was purple with like sparklies in it. And I know people are like, "Oh, that's so like typical of a girl." Well, I liked it. It's nice. Um, so it's a great starter weapon. You can't fire it if the magazine's not in it. Like you can't pull the trigger if the magazine's not in it. So even if there is one in the chamber, you can't hurt yourself or other people. Even though it is good to make sure that your weapon is always clear before you pull the trigger and don't point it at anything living. Um, So it's a good starter weapon. There's a lot of safety features on it, so you learn how to be careful with your weapon. You learn what to do. It's a very finicky gun, so you have to be very certain of everything that you're doing, or it won't work. So you learn how to solve different problems, and you learn how to solve different problems in the field before you're in a dire situation and you're like, I don't know what to do. So it's good. It's a good starter gun, and that was a Sig Mosquito 22. So my brother got his concealed carry. My parents got their concealed carry, and I was left. And every time I saw my brother, he would always be like, "When are you gonna get it? When are you gonna get it?" And I didn't think that I was mature enough to get it. I wasn't in the mindset. I didn't think that I was prepared mentally, physically, emotionally to carry a weapon on me. So I just never did. I stuck with my knives and my tasers and my bad kitty, which is a 2-finger brass knuckle that has spikes on the end of it. It looks like a kitty cat with like pointy ears. So I always kept those on me until recently when I had eaten at a little Mexican restaurant that's attached to a gas station. And I know that sounds gross, but it's really good. So I had eaten, and as I was walking to my car, these guys in a van were honking at me and trying to get my attention, and I just kind of thought, like, yeah, whatever, like, guys being stupid. So I ignored them, and I backed up my car and pulled around to a gas pump and got out to pump my gas, and they pulled up right next to me. And luckily, my car was in between us, so at least I had like that protection. And they were asking me directions to the highway and telling me their story about why they were there and where they were from and who they were. And I was like, this is kind of weird. And then they proceeded to ask me my name and my age and where I was from, and I just told them that that was none of their business. They didn't need to know any of that, and that's okay. That's okay to tell people that they don't need to know anything about you. That's fine. And I think nowadays we're kind of so worried about offending people or hurting people's feelings that we're kind of just like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. No, it's okay to tell people that they don't need to know anything about you. That's fine. Feel empowered doing that. So I told them that they didn't need to know anything about me, and they kind of sat there for a little bit and looked at me, and I still kept the car in between us, and eventually they drove off. And it was really scary having to call my mom and describe them to my mom and describe the car that they were in and tell them that if anything happened to me, then they most likely did it. And that was so scary because there was nothing that I could do against 3 men in a van. I'm 100 pounds, I'm tiny. I think almost every woman would, and man, would have trouble defending against them. So it was really freaky to have to deal with that and know that something could happen to me and I wouldn't be able to save myself. So after that afternoon, I went and applied for my concealed carry license, and I got it 2 weeks later. Um, and I didn't carry right away because even then I was like, I still am not sure if this is something that I want to do. Like I have it, and it's nice to have it because it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So I just I sat with it, and I sat with the thought of carrying a weapon, and I thought about it to make sure that this was something that I was really prepared to do. And once I made the decision that I was prepared to do this, I ordered a gun. I got a Glock G26 Gen 3, and I like it. I like it a lot. Um, It's got a nice weight to it. It's not too heavy, but it's enough to know that it's there. And I have long fingers, so the grip's big enough that my fingers don't wrap around on themselves, so I can get a good handle on it. And I actually didn't start caring until yesterday. And so it was weird. I have done so much research on holsters. So much research. Because I'm small, my body isn't typical. I know that they say everybody isn't typical, but my body isn't like 90% of the world out there. So all these gun reviews are hard, or gun holster reviews are hard because no one's my size, so it's really hard getting my perspective. So I am going to be doing a concealed carry series on my channel for people to visit and know that your body might not be typical, but I'm working. I'm working hard for you. And I've seen so many women with drawers full of holsters or bags full of holsters. And while holsters are like shoes, like you need one for different outfits, we shouldn't have to go through that many before we find an everyday holster that works. So I have ordered the Alien Gear Shapeshift IWB holster. IWB is in the waistband. So I will be trying that out once I get it, and I'm going to post a review about that too. And I didn't start carrying until yesterday, and I have a Priority 1 appendix holster that I don't carry it in the front because a problem is I'm too small, and so the handle sticks out. I don't have enough meat in my front to carry it, so I carry it behind me at the 4 o'clock position. And that's been working out pretty well. The holster's a little bulky just because it is supposed to be worn in a different position, so I'm hoping that the Alien Gear holster will fix that, but we'll see. So it is empowering to know that I can protect myself if need be. I don't have to rely on someone else, and I don't have to rely on the police to get there in time before I'm dead or taken, or have to call the police, or I guess I should say, I don't have to rely on needing the time to call the police beforehand because, I mean, we don't know. And so I just can't keep 911 on speed dial and hope that I can get to my phone in time or even have my phone in time to do anything about it. So this is it's empowering to know that I have it. It's empowering to know that I can protect myself. They say that guns are the great equalizer when it comes to women, and I 100% believe it because I'm 100 pounds. So how can I be expected to protect myself from a man who's 150 pounds or even 130 pounds because they they do have more muscle than we do typically. And while I'm usually strong for my size, I'm not that strong. Sorry for such an abrupt ending due to dogs not knowing how to be thoughtful and cooperative while I'm trying to make a video. There was too much noise for me to be able to continue filming. Um, I just want y'all to know that this isn't a journey that I took lightly, and this isn't a journey that I will ever take lightly. This is a very serious responsibility that I've taken on, and I plan to embrace it and just take every step towards research and safety that I can. I hope y'all have an amazing, wonderful, dry Sunday, and I hope to see you back on my channel later.